This is a past life reading for Anne Charlene Phelan Noble, otherwise known as Emma Strong. The date is July 25th, 2012, and I am psychic medium Cassandra Blizzard. This is a linear past life process, and what this tape will accomplish is I will go into a deep meditative state, and I will just say everything that I'm seeing regarding Anne's past lives. Sometimes I get a lot of detail about the area, housing, people around the person, detailed clothing. I don't always get a name. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I get dates, sometimes I don't. Not every past life that Anne lived will be revealed in this session. This session is going to be about 45 minutes, and it will reveal usually between 6 to 8 past lives, depending on how long the soul causes me to linger on a life. Some lives will be much more prevalent than others. Some will be kind of vague and short descriptions. Also, sometimes themes of past lives will come out, so there's emotional issues and emotional themes in a past life, and the higher self of my client or the soul of my client will linger longer on that emotional theme than anything else. People in past lives will incarnate as both male and female. Sometimes a soul will prefer a specific gender over others. Sometimes the soul will keep it fairly balanced. But again, this will not reveal every single past life. So mostly what I do with past lives is to bring up those emotional concepts, things from a past life that might be affecting the present life. And when I refer to you in the past life, that means, Anne, that I am referring to you, whether you're male in that life or female in that life. I'm getting a lot of energy kind of hurled at me all at the same time, which is very difficult for me to sort out, because there's 3 time frames that are coming in at the same time. But I'm going to try to hone in on the one that's most intriguing to me right now. I'm seeing a male in armor. I'm hoping that I get more of a time frame on this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go look at the dress of this male to see if I can pinpoint a time. He's definitely a knight, and he is definitely frequently engaged in battle. And he's got the chain mail. The interesting thing about him is his armor is very, very highly polished. I mean, it's immaculate. And yet I know that he's engaged in battle a lot. I want to say that he has reddish hair and a mustache. Not sure what area he's in, but it's definitely Europe. And I'm going to pause and see what else I get. I'm seeing him with blue eyes. He has very nice teeth. I feel like with this particular man, he's a very, very well-respected man, which is interesting to me because Anne is now in the legal profession, and there's a lot of political, almost legal undertones with this guy. I want to describe him as being very valiant and very noble, exactly what you would expect of a knight. It sounds almost cliche, but he's just an amazing personality, but he literally has spent his entire life in defense. This is not some egomaniacal man that's doing takeovers of kingdoms and such as that. This is all defensive positioning, protecting his country basically, or his territory. And there's a man above him. It's not like he's a king or anything, but there is authority above him. But he is very, very, very well respected. And there's also a woman. I'm not sure if this is his wife or not, but it's definitely a significant other. And she's a very beautiful woman. She's very classically beautiful with nice high cheekbones. And they both actually have really smooth, beautiful skin. It gets very, very cold where they are. And he keeps saying the word Norse, and I don't understand that. I'm not a history buff because I don't think he's Norse, and I'm not really sure what he means by that. It might just be some bleed through from another life or a little bit of garbage. Sometimes when I open up, I pick up other stuff that maybe bleed through. But he's an intriguing man. He's got what I call the silver soul. The silver soul comes into me, which means, Anne, that you have this same soul. The silver soul, when it comes into me, has a very different feel than other souls. It's a soul with a life purpose. And in that particular lifetime, as that night, you had a definite silver soul purpose. Your soul purpose in that lifetime was to be valiant, to be noble, to be strong, and to defend and protect. And it's a really, really, I don't want to say high profile, but it's a very important life. It's an extremely important lifetime. I want to say that this man also has a son. And the odd thing about the son, I don't know if this is actually his birth son or an adopted son. And the reason I say that is because this man has red hair, but his son has black hair. But he's definitely showing me this feel like it is a son to him. This boy is a son. And I want to say he showed me the boy at around the age of 7. And I'm kind of getting a lost child kind of feeling too. And I don't know if this is current to you, Anne, whether or not you had a miscarriage or anything like that. But I get this lost child feeling. So if not in your current life, there was definitely a past life where you were female and you lost a child. I feel like in some way there are fragments of this life that actually seep into your current life and impact your current life, which I don't normally talk about. And when you read my book about the soul, you'll understand why. But there's definitely aspects of this past life as a knight affecting you now. And I don't know if it is that valiant, noble, protect and defend part of it, but definitely it is impacting your current life. It's almost too as if your soul is talking to you in a myriad of ways through these past lives. It's almost like you are living an awareness of your soul to the extent that you are in understanding of simultaneous lives. So it's the same as if you were experiencing that life right now. And in that way, you're a little bit fragmented. I want to move on to one of the other lives that I was seeing. This is a very, very beautiful woman. This is moving forward in time a little bit. I'm not 100% positive, but I feel like this is in the 1700s sometime, at some point. And either she's French or she's connected to France. And she's an extremely beautiful woman, an extremely elegant woman. And one of the most prominent things that she shows me is this dress, this gown that she's wearing. She's obviously has an unbelievable amount of money because the cost of this dress is staggering, even in that time frame. And the detail on this dress, I feel like it's silk and there's some kind of beading or jewels on this dress. And it's like a kind of an off-white ivory colored dress, and it's exquisite is the only way I can describe it. She also lets me know that she takes very good care of her skin and her appearance, and she does not seem like an egomaniac, but her appearance means a lot to her. She spends a lot of time. She has maids that do her hair. She powders her hair. She powders her face. She has rouge on her cheeks and lips. So she is definitely a very elegant, very feminine woman. She has very small hands. I can't tell how tall she is, but she has very small hands and very milky white skin, even on her hands. She's very pampered. I feel like she's a woman of importance, but at the same time, it's like she really doesn't have a political voice. Or if she is in a position of power where there are politics, it's like she's a puppet, or she feels like she's a puppet, because there's men behind the scenes or behind her basically making all the decisions as opposed to her making any decisions. And that seems to be fine with her. Not that she doesn't have some ideas of her own, but she's not a very... She really doesn't care about the people. She's more turned inward and more self-centered, but not in an egomaniacal kind of a way. She's just more about herself than anything else. I feel like she died young. I don't sense a long life with her. And I don't know if she's showing me that she has a daughter, or if this is just another family member. There's a young girl around her. I want to say the girl that she's showing me at this particular time is probably around the age between 12 and 14. And I want to say, I believe it's this life, that I keep getting the word like Cecile or Seal, something along that line. And it may be in reference to the young girl. There's also a mother figure that I want to say there's an acrimonious relationship between the mother and you at this point. It's a very difficult relationship. I don't feel like you in that particular life as this beautiful woman felt loved. You were kind of like birthed and reared, and you were given all of the amenities of life. You speak French, you speak English, maybe even a little German, but you're very educated in the way that you're supposed to be educated in that time frame. But there was no love, there was no affection, none of that kind of thing going on. So you feel a little bit disenfranchised and cut off in a lot of ways. There is also a man that she keeps calling Louis. I want to say he has dark hair, and he is definitely in a power position. That relationship, I'm not sure how he relates to her, whether he's husband or lover or what, but that relationship is also kind of distant and awkward. It's very difficult to describe this relationship. So in some ways, this woman feels very pampered, and in other ways she feels trapped, but she is a product of her era and her environment, and she just kind of accepts this kind of existence. There's a point in life where she's not well liked. It's almost like she's reviled. So she had a lot of things to deal with in that lifetime, mostly emotional. I also get an overall theme in a lot of your female incarnations where there's difficulty with men, difficulty in trusting men. I feel like men have put you in many lifetimes in situations that made you feel less than or not validated or not valuable. I'm seeing also it's important to know that in these lives, they're not going to come in chronological order. They're going to kind of be mixed up. And I'm getting pulled a little more contemporary where I see this woman, she has dark hair, trying to determine time frame with that dark hair. She's very dressed. I mean, she's wearing a classic shirt dress. It's got to be like around the 50s. No, it can't be the 50s. This doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a simultaneous life. I'm trying to go back and to ask for a date, a time, because I need to look up this clothing to see what she's trying to tell me, because basically it's the clothing. It's really weird because I'm confused by this life, because it's like your mother and daughter at the same time. And it's like you really are a soul that chose to have two physical lives at the same time, but it's like your mother and daughter at the same time. It's bizarre. But this woman has dark hair. One of her, and she's beautiful. You've always been like beautiful people. One of her really outstanding features is her lips, for some reason. She wears this lipstick that's not quite red, but it's in the red tone. And she really highlights this feature in having this very dark hair. And I feel like she was involved with a mafiosa, a mobster or something, because I'm seeing all these elements. I mean, the classic suits and the whole 9 yards, the Tommy guns and the whole 9 yards. And there's definitely a young girl, daughter, around her. But she also she drinks a lot. She ends up being an alcoholic. And she's having an affair with this man, and I'm not sure who this man is. I want to say he's an actor or someone that's famous, well-known. There's also a writer, though. I feel like she knew a lot of different people. She had a lot of different connections. And there's a writer, and this is a fairly famous writer. I feel like she had a lot of dreams and aspirations, and that she never really achieved those goals, or not to the degree that she feels like she should have. She ends up feeling very used. And I want to say that she pulls me to an age, I want to say 45. So I feel like she may have died around that age, midlife. She's also expressing cancer, and I don't know if she's saying that her father had cancer, because when she says cancer, she pulls me backward to her dad. And I don't know if she ended up having cancer or not, whether it was undiagnosed or what it was. But she definitely says cancer, and it feels like it's a genetic thing. It's in the family. But she definitely is an alcoholic. She said her life was a huge disappointment when she was a little girl. I feel like there was some kind of abuse or molestation, but she's not real clear on it. I think she's ashamed of it. And this happened when, trying to gauge her age by what she's showing me, I want to say she was around 10, between 10 and 12. And she carries a lot of shame with her, but she almost feels like at that point in life, that's all women are. is just this vessel that men use, this physical thing that men use. And she didn't like that feeling. She does not like that feeling at all. So I feel like one of the emotional themes in this lifetime, that lifetime that may be affecting you in this lifetime, is the theme of gaining respect from men and yet knowing that that may be out of reach. She keeps saying it's a man's world, it's a man's world. She also has a beautiful voice. She loved to sing, and I feel like she wanted to be recognized for her voice because she really, really loved to sing. She's definitely bringing up cancer again. I think dying was one of her big fears. That kind of haunted her throughout life, and yet she hated her life. I mean, she hated the way that she was treated by men as just this object. I don't know if she's correcting me on time frame, because she's saying the 30s. She was also, I feel like, connected to southern states in some way, like Louisiana. I feel like the Florida Keys, and I don't know if this was also, whether she ever went to the Keys, or if one of the men that she was connected to was in the Keys or went to the Keys frequently. A lot of illegal stuff going on, too. One of the interesting things about this particular life with this woman, this more current woman, is that the soul is not as seated in the body as it normally is, which doesn't surprise me because I feel like the life was short. And it was kind of a painful life. But one of the themes of multiple lives for you, Anne, is the idea of making change in the world. In some lives, most of the time, that was positive change, a need for positive change, but other times it was not. I feel like your soul is telling me that you need healing. This is an emotional healing. And again, one of the underlying themes is not being able to trust men and how painful it is, relationship after relationship, where in many lives men really hurt you or treated you like you were just an object to be used or baggage. Very, very painful lifetimes, several times over. I also keep getting the name Lolita. And I'm seeing a woman, this goes back, I want to say this is Spanish, and she had, again, beautiful woman, beautiful figure. I feel like she was painted by someone, because when she shows me herself, she's wearing classic, like, Spanish dress, and I feel like she was a dancer. But she's wearing this red dress with like a black underskirt and black shoes, beautiful wavy hair, turned to the side, and I feel like she was posing, and it's a painting. It's a painting. She says she comes from a very beautiful place. Her country is very, very beautiful. She's showing me like these streets that, I don't know if it's cobblestone, but it's these stone streets, beautiful villa, village-type villa, sunny, warm, everyone is friendly. It's the kind of place where everybody knows your name. You know everybody. She shows me this little boy running through the street. He's smiling. I want to say he's got a loaf of bread. Everybody's happy in this little villa is the only thing I can call it. And I'm not real familiar with Spain at all. But it's a very beautiful place. Now, in this lifetime, she really enjoyed her life. And the interesting thing about this lifetime, and I'm not sure the time frame, but she loved being a woman. In that lifetime, Anne, you loved being a woman. You were sexy, you were sensual, you were provocative, and you loved it. Men always were looking at you and complimenting you. You were well loved. Some women were jealous, but you didn't care. Men were always giving you flowers, jewelry, necklaces. There was one man in particular that you were in love with, but mostly you did not allow yourself to get really connected to any one man. Even though you were in love with this man, it wasn't like if he left you, you would die. You were comfortable with yourself. You were very, very balanced in this life. Very positive, very healthy outlook on life. Now, this man that was in love with you, interestingly, he feels like he's tall to me, which is odd, considering I feel like this is Spain. Very good looking. Very powerful man. Very well loved. I have no idea what this guy does for a living, but he's got money, he's financially stable, he's very well off. Loves you, but understands that you're like this free spirit that he can never fully hold fast to. So you had a very balanced, this is a very, very healthy life for you, considering some of the pain that you've been through. And this woman, again, she loved to dance, and I don't know if she was famous for dancing or known for dancing, but she loved to dance. For some reason, I'm pulled away from that life pretty quickly, and I'm being shown a very old woman. You as a very old woman. I have no idea what time frame this in. I want to say that this woman is German. She's very, very sick, and she's very, very tired of life. She says that she had a hard life. She makes me feel like the winters were very bitter cold, chilled to the bone. She didn't have a lot of money throughout her lifetime. She was rather poor. She had shelter, she had clothing, she had food, but it was very meager, very small dwelling, very rudimentary, and very lonely. It's a very lonely life. But she was quite ill. She actually lived to be pretty old, but she was very ill for a very long time, so she was in a very weakened, fragile state. I feel like she had a sister because she's showing me a linear connection that's family, that's a woman. I want to say that the sister's a little bit younger than her, but very old as well. The sister was healthy, and the sister helped her out quite a bit. The sister was married. I'm sure you were at some point in this lifetime married, but I'm not seeing one, so your husband must have died before you. But I see the sister as helping and always bringing like a bread and a soup. There's a soup that she would bring to you, and you would eat the hot soup and dip the bread in the soup, and very meager existence. You're saying that even though it was a meager existence, you have a lot of pride in that lifetime, which is fascinating to me because the pride of this woman is very, very important. And there were many lifetimes where you might have been in a position that had more power or more fame, but the pride was not there, or you had no reason to be proud of that lifetime. But this woman is making me feel like she's very, very proud, and that lifetime was all about the proper, healthy kind of pride. She's saying a name. I don't know if this is like a Gerald or something. It's a male name with a G sound in the beginning. I'm not sure exactly what she's saying. And I'm thinking this must have been the love of her life, because she gives me a very warm feeling when she mentions him. And I feel like he was in some kind of military function or something, because I see some kind of uniform. But I'm not sure what time frame this is. I can't tell by the clothes, because she has a very, very simple kind of a dress that she wears, but she's showing me with a really heavy and very big shawl. It's almost like a small blanket, but she's saying it's a shawl. But it's very long, goes pretty far down, not just around her upper shoulders, but like halfway down her body. And everything she shows me is really meager, so I can't tell the time frame. She says that she lived in a time of great change and great need. But yet the country seems stable to me. She says that the man she loved, and I believe was her husband, was very handsome and had very handsome blue eyes. And he had a very regal face, she says, and very nice teeth. And he was a noble man, and he was worthy of her time. And that he was the only one for her, and there was no one after. And I feel like she just lived alone and was lonely, and that's why her existence is so meager. But the interesting thing about that is that she's okay with that life. She's okay with not having very much. The simple life was fine for her. She said that she appreciated everything that she had, and she's got almost this meditative way of looking at life where she does everything kind of slowly and paying great attention. Like when she's eating the soup and the bread that her sister brings her, it's like she's savoring every bite. And she's got this little window that she looks out of. I feel like she likes to sit in this kitchen because it's warm, and she lives in a very cold place. And there's this little window there's a wooden table with wooden chairs. She looks out this window and she looks at the sky, and she could just stare at the sky and watch the people in the street all day and be content with that. She didn't need much in life. And for that, your soul feels like this was a really good life, even though she was very ill later in life and she lost her true love. She had a good life. Your soul tells me that that particular lifetime of the old woman was supposed to teach you temperance. That you're supposed to be able to gain temperance from that life now. I'm now being pulled to China. This goes really far back. You're a man in this life, and you are a ruthless kind of dictator in this life. You're in absolute control, absolute authority, megalomaniac, really, really kind of a heartless, ruthless man. And for you in that lifetime, it's all about power, gaining power, keeping power, and being in control. You have one weakness in this lifetime, and that is a woman, but even that is something that you fight against. You have this woman, you can have this woman anytime, but you know deep in your heart that this woman is a little bit afraid of you and doesn't respect you. But she is yours. I don't know if she's a concubine. I don't think she's a wife. I don't think she's an actual wife. Beautiful woman, beautiful young woman. But you're not so weak over her that it gets the best of you, because you really don't like weakness in this life. It is all about power and showing power to the point where you almost feel like you are a god. And that is your attitude in life. You really don't care about humanity or anything. It's not even about money for you or territory. It really is just power. There's a younger male, not too much younger, but younger male around you, and he's taller than you. You're a really small guy in that life. And this younger man is like your right-hand man. In some ways, I feel like he would be like commander of the army or something to that effect. That's the role he seems to play. And you trust this man, which is odd to me, because in this lifetime you really don't trust anybody but yourself, but you trust this man. And this man is actually extremely loyal to you and would do anything for you. He buys into your philosophy of 100%, because in this lifetime you have created an us and them philosophy or mentality regarding territory and your kingdom, if you want to call it that. You live in this very opulent place, very beautiful. China's beautiful at this time, because this goes way back, but there's armies on horseback, and the clothing is just unbelievably ornate, and it's a very interesting lifetime. I feel like you have a brother, and the brother is somewhat of a rival, but not anybody that you go to war with. There just seems to be some bit of rivalry there. Your father is a very old man, and he thinks you're both nuts. He really just doesn't like the whole approve of. I don't want to say he thinks you're both nuts. I mean, in the typical sense of nuts, but he does not approve of what you and the brother do or your attitudes. Father seems to feel more like a Zen, or is the only way I can describe it, where he's more balanced, more calm, more content with, who he is, a little bit of money, not about power. It's definitely not about power for him. I feel like in that lifetime it was actually your mother that kind of molded you. I mean, you were born to be this way in this life. But I feel like your mother kind of egged you on and molded you into that, because I feel like she's very different from your father in that she's perfectly happy gaining some power through you and having nice things and being wealthy and all that. Not that your father wasn't, because he was. But it's just a completely different approach to life. So that lifetime was really all power. You did a lot in that lifetime that was kind of heinous and ruthless. So a lot of emotionally things to have to carry forward into other lifetimes. Kind of difficult to see yourself in that way. I also have I don't know how much information will come in on this life because it feels kind of vague to me, but I see you in Greece as a boy. And in this particular lifetime, that's how you choose to show, that's the age you want to show me as the boy. One of the things about this boy is discovery, the joy of discovery. I feel like he's an explorer. That's what he wants to do. He stares up at the stars every night and just wonders what is out there. He wants to go to the moon. He wants to be able to get off the planet and actually journey into space. He's a big, big daydreamer. I mean, he spends his whole boyhood like daydreaming. And I feel like his father is a fisherman. And this goes way, way back before modern technology. I mean, this is pretty far back, too. The reason I say I feel like his father's a fisherman is because he shows me this boat, and he shows me his father, and there's a net, and there's a lot of fish. And his dad wants him to be a fisherman, and he doesn't want to be that. He wants to be an explorer. He wants to see the world. He knows there's something out there, and he wants to discover it or see it. So he's an interesting little guy. The weird thing is like your soul won't take me past that time frame into his adulthood. And I feel like because your soul, really the underlying theme here is that sense of discovery and exploration of life, being just absolutely excited about life. Everything's exciting and everything is a discovery. And everybody in this little Greek village loves this boy. I mean, he's very well liked. I mean, if there was a popularity contest, he would definitely win it because he's just so lovable. And he could literally, watching a bug, finding a new insect that he's never seen before would just be absolutely thrilling for him. So he's an interesting little guy. He's the explorer. As I'm seeing this little Greek boy, I get pulled to Egypt, specifically one of the pyramids, and specifically the Great Pyramid. I don't know enough history. I don't know who was buried in the Great Pyramid, to be honest with you. And I don't know if there's any women that were buried in that, or if nobody was buried in that. But I definitely have the sense that you were a female around the time that this pyramid, not while it was being built, but after it had been built. But I do have the sense that you were in it. I don't know how, but I don't know if you were buried there or not. So I'm not being shown it being built. I'm being shown it after it was finished, completed. In that lifetime as this Egyptian woman, you had a particular, I think what she's trying to show me is that you had a particular affinity to Horus, the god Horus, because I want to say she's showing me this bird, falcon, hawk, something. And that's how it feels to me. It feels like it's a religious thing. You had a really, really, I have to say, bizarre approach to spirituality and religion back then. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just really unusual. Touching that lifetime gives me an odd feeling. It kind of takes me back to the Silver Soul feeling, but with a little bit of an edge to it, which I can't really explain or describe. It's really fascinating, interesting. She carried herself in such a way that it was almost like she was walking on air, the way she held her head and body as she walked. It was beyond regal. It was like godlike. It's kind of interesting. But her perception of herself and her perception of her religion, I mean, she was very, very connected to her spirituality, and she really believed that priests could raise the dead. She believed that there was power within her, deep within her soul. She believed in alien life forms. She believed in her God, that her God was absolutely real, that she could talk to him. She's a fascinating woman. Basically, no part of her mind was closed off as far as what she could believe or what she could do. And she walked like she felt the power of her soul every second of every day. She had a very interesting life. I don't know who she was connected to, but it feels like she's connected to a powerful pharaoh or something, because it's like she has no function in life. I mean, there's no job or you didn't have jobs back then, but she's not destitute in what she's wearing, clothing-wise and jewelry-wise, very expensive, so she was cared for. But she was really, really living her spirituality to the nth degree. Very, very interesting. She tells me that I don't know if this is a palace, but it's this structure, and maybe it's a temple, but there's an underground part of it, and she walks down these stairs, and I swear she's going to see these priests, and they do these rituals, but she's walking down these stairs, and she goes straight down these stairs, and then there's this kind of wall, and she has to turn to the left and go down another set of stairs. The first set of stairs is kind of typical slanted stairs, typical angle of stairs that you're used to. And then there's this like stone platform at this wall, and there's all the art painted, symbolic and stuff painted on this wall. A lot of red and blue and black. And then the second set of stairs is like really long, and it doesn't have the normal slope of stairs. It's longer, broader steps. So it feels like these stairs are symbolic of something, almost like you're going into the afterlife or something. It gives me a really interesting feel. And then there's sand, and there's like almost seems like pillars to the left of her, but there's also a wall. So the pillars are in front of this wall, and then she has to make another right turn because she hits another wall, and she walks into this more of an open area, but it's like there's all these different little chambers underneath what I think is a temple, and there are men there that are bare-chested, dressed in what I would call a skirt. Their head I want to say their head is shaved, but they have a little clump of hair at the back of their head, and their hair is bound there. And I don't think those are the priests. It feels like those are maybe acolytes of some kind. And then there's another chamber that she's really not supposed to go in. She's not allowed to go in. And there's this, I don't know what to call this. It's like a metal bowl, and it's got a fire in it. Big, big, big metal bowl, and it's got a fire in it. And it's like just this most secret of secret places. It's really interesting. I don't know why she has access to this place, but she doesn't go in the other room. She's not allowed to go in there, so she does respect that. But she is completely fascinated by the power of the soul, the afterlife, the power of the priests, the power of her gods, and totally sold on alien life. Absolutely 100% believes in alien life. She's an interesting woman, a very interesting life. I'm kind of going into a dead zone, so I've paused the recorder for a while to see if your soul would reveal any more lives with the emotional themes in them. And I'm kind of hitting a dead zone, so I'm going to go ahead and end the reading and prepare for the upload for you.